Hi, so we discussed friends in the previous lesson, and in this video we want to discuss friendship with inheritance, since we are discussing inheritance in this lesson. Okay, so here it's important to note that friendship is not inherited. I have the simple example in Visual Studio. We have this friend base class, and in the definition of the class we specify the base class as a friend of this class. And I also have in the private section this member, friend member, an integer, which I initialize to 5. I don't want to use constructors or anything like that for this example. I'm just keeping it simple here. Then we have the base class, and in the public section we have this toString function, and that has a formal parameter, a reference to a friend base constant. Okay, so we do a console output the friend base parameter dot friend member to access that. So that should print out 5 for us. So what we do in main is we construct base, which is an instance of base, and friend base, which is an instance of the friend base class. Then we can do base.toString. Remember, the toString function is a member function in the base class. Then we pass in this object friend base into there. Again, we are going to pass by reference, and that is going to do friend base p, so the parameter dot friend member. If I build and run, we get 5 printed out as we would expect. But notice again that the friend member is private in the friend base class. Now let's go and create a derived class. Okay, so this derived class publicly derives from the base class. Let's try and do the same thing in here. Okay, so I'm gonna have the same toString function. Now you can comment this one out if this is confusing to you, but basically we can just override that if we want. So I'm just gonna do the same function just for demonstration purposes. So console output the friend base parameter dot friend member, and now we'll get an error here. Friend member is going to be inaccessible because it is private. Okay, in the friend base class, and only the base class is specified as a friend. Okay, the derived class is not specified as a friend. This demonstrates that the friendship is not inherited. Just comment that line out down there. Now of course, if you make this public, then the error in the derived class will go away, so this will work fine. Okay, I'll do derived or toString and friend base, and now that'll work fine. But if you have that member as private in the friend base class, then again you'll get an error. Cannot access private member, and so on. And actually the same thing is going to happen when you have it as protected as well. You can try and build around that, and you cannot access the protected member. So this right here to work, you're gonna need a public member, because derived is not a friend of the friend base class. I'd also like to mention that in the statement right here where we have friend class base, if we remove class like that, I'll just make that public again. If we try and build and run, we'll actually get an error, a bunch of errors actually. And now if you do a forward declaration like this, class base, and then specify it as a friend in the friend base class, then that'll work fine. So that is why I do friend class base, because then you can avoid that forward declaration. You're basically declaring it right here, class base. If I uncomment this right here, and I comment this line out, I'll just make sure this here is private. Then I can do derived.toString friend base. This will work fine because this toString function that gets called is part of the base part of the derived object. Build and run, and as you can see we get 5 printed out. And that's again because this base class right here, here's a friend in this friend base class which has this member. So if you call this toString function, that will now get inherited by the derived class, then you can still do this friend base parameter dot friend member, and that will work fine. But if I uncomment this, this is going to override this function or redefine it in the derived class. again you'll get an error, and then this statement right here will not work.